in that sense, is it life-changing? Possibly. Hi everyone, Jackie here with Enjoying Life's Journey. Welcome back to an update on my ADHD medication journey. The glasses are really glaring, so I'm going to take them off even though everything's going to be a little fuzzy. And the plane's coming, so we'll be right back. Happy New Year, you guys! Alright, so it has been a full month. It's actually been a little over a month since I started taking medication for my ADHD. For those of you who are new, my name is Jackie, and I am 40 years old, and I just recently started treating my ADHD with medication. So before I get started on my 1 month update, I did want to say thank you for everyone who's been really supportive and not only sharing well wishes for me, but also sharing some of your guys' journey as well. So I really appreciate it. And know that it is a journey, and what works for one person may or may not work for another person. But the only thing that we can do is share our experience and what does work for us, and maybe that gives somebody one more option to try. It is a journey. It's going to take a while, and it is basically trial and error. There's no, blood test or anything that can say, okay, you definitely need this medication at this dose or whatever. So it's definitely a lot of trial and error. I was talking to my mom, and she basically was like, just be patient, don't get frustrated, just keep trying. And that's pretty much what it is. I did have some questions on the other videos, kind of, just asking, why did I decide now at the age of 40? I haven't done any medication up until now, so why did I decide now? But long story short, for those of you who do want to know, my younger daughter, basically we went for her yearly exam, and the doctor was like, hey, I think she has ADHD. And then that brought up the whole can of worms of, well, I have ADHD, I've never taken medicine, so I'm not going to put her on medicine. So it's kind of like, well, what if you did get on the right medication and it was life-changing, and maybe you would look at it differently. So I'm like a lot of people. I had my own stigmas. I had my own reservations about it. So I'm kind of the guinea pig, if you will. Is the medication going to fix your ADHD? No. The fact that I lived so long without medication, I do have a lot of tools in my toolbox, so to speak, on how to live with ADHD without medication. Without even realizing I was putting those tools in place. It was just, for me, I was like, oh, well, this is just going to help me as an adult, and it was kind of helping me with my ADHD, or manage it somewhat. But then the more I started looking back into the symptoms of ADHD, I realized I had a lot of issues in my life that maybe would have been a little less disruptive, if you will, had I been on medication. I don't know. My experience being on medication for a month, is it life-changing? No. Not yet. We're still in a lot of trial and error. Now here's the deal. It is very eye-opening to some things, and it really did help me to kind of see what symptoms I have. So my first tip to you obviously is trial and error. Talk to your doctor, write everything down. But the second one is to kind of get an idea of, really know what your specific symptoms are and what you need help with, or what you are expecting the medication to do, to see if it is working for you or not. So like I said, it's not going to fix, if you have bad habits associated with ADHD, it's not going to fix those habits. You still need to put those other tools, those other habits, lifestyle things into place. But for me, it's more for the mind part thing. So we're gonna get into it. So I started off on Concerta, 27 milligram, and it's like an extended release type medication. This is the little pill here. I lasted like a week on that medication. When I went into my doctor to now talk about me starting my treatment, she said that she preferred Adderall, but everybody's on Adderall, and then with some of the shortages happening, she was concerned, what if it is working and I can't get access to it? And she said, Concerta, she's like, it's not my top choice, but it does work well for some people. Maybe maybe it will work for you. But she did tell me, I have access to her on my patient portal, if you will, for our doctor stuff. So I can email her anytime I need to, and she actually gets back to me pretty quick. So she's like, if you need to, even 2 days later, if it's not working, let me know. So I wanted to give it a full week. I wanted to at least give it a full week. I truly wanted to give it the full month. So when she prescribed me the medication, she said, okay, I'll see you in a month, but again, email me if you need to. So my experience with that, you guys saw with some of my vlogs of how it kind of went. The first day on it, I did kind of feel nauseous. It wasn't so much nauseous, it was just like my stomach was turning. I did have a lot of the body, like the middle of my body felt very jittery, but my hands were steady. I made a big point about that. Did it help with some of my symptoms? Kind of. I started to notice I was able to focus on some things and not be distracted as easily, but also it kind of quieted my mind a little bit. Now, did it give me like a clear alertness, energy kind of thing? No. Watching the vlogs back, I do feel I was talking really fast. So I don't know, by the time I was editing those vlogs, I think I was already switched on medication. So I don't know if it was, like if that's how I normally talk. I normally talk that fast and I was just now more aware, like seeing it back, like wow, I'm talking really fast. Or if I was just talking fast on the Concerta, I'm not really sure. Day one, I was kind of like, okay, I don't know. I did not sleep good at all, so I was like, I don't know. Day two, I slept a little bit better. I still had the jitters. I didn't get like the nauseousness because I kind of ate a little bit of bread when I took my medicine in the morning. Every day I was taking it at 6:30 in the morning. I wanted to be consistent just to see how it would be. By day three, and I had just started working at Amazon as well. So by day three, I had a major headache, so I couldn't tell if it was from working at Amazon and not drinking enough water or the medication. I wasn't sure. But then every day after that, I got that headache, whether I worked or not. And I was like, this is not gonna be good, because if I have to now take ibuprofen in addition to my medication, I'm like, I really don't want to take more stuff to counteract the symptom. And then with the headaches, I couldn't tell if I was focused or clear-minded or anything, because all I could focus on was the headache. My sleep did get better, so I was fine with that. I think it was day 6, I had like a mini panic anxiety attack. Day 7, I had that around the afternoon. Day 7, I had like another mini panic attack, but it was closer in the morning. And then that evening, I was super, super irritable. Now, the only other plus side at the beginning of the week was I did feel more patient with my children. The morning went smoother, if you will, but I had this day where I was so irritable with everyone and everything. I'm having like a mini tantrum. So we got home. I put myself in my room for my own time out because I was like, no. So that was the very next day was when I emailed my doctor and I said, okay, the positives are, I am a little more focused, I'm a little more patient, but then I had a day where I was totally irritable, I'm having a headache every day, and I've had 2 mini anxiety panic attacks. So my doctor was like, okay, that's obviously way too many side effects, but we're on the right track because you are having some positive effects towards your symptoms. So she said, how do you feel about going on the Adderall? And I said, well, I'm up for whatever, because this is, I understand it's trial and error, the journey. So real quick, before I get to the Adderall, I want to talk about a little bit how the Concerta works as well. You have like this little pill. The outside shell is kind of like a mini instant release of medication. I don't know how much, there's no dosage, like, 5 milligrams or whatever. Then inside, I'll see if I can find a picture and put it up here. Inside, there's like 2 medicine chambers, and they're different colors, they're different sizes. On the bottom is kind of like a little sponge type thing. So as that sponge is absorbing the water from your body, it's expanding and it's pushing the medicine out. There's no timing set. It's not like, 4 hours later you get another dose or this or that. It's gradually kind of coming out, I guess, all day. One of the other things I started noticing was like I could tell, like I would be focused or whatever for a couple hours, and then I would start feeling tired, and then I would be like, okay, I'm okay, and then I feel, you know what I mean? Like I had these little ups and downs of tiredness, and I felt like that was the medicine. I don't know, I didn't like the way that was. So my doctor switched me. I will say the Concerta I got was a generic one. Does that matter? I don't know. She prescribed me Adderall XR 20 milligrams, which is another extended release. So this one is like a capsule. It has little beads inside of it. So half of the beads are instant release and half of the beads are extended release. The way the Adderall XR is supposedly, in theory, supposed to work is that, you know, I had 20 milligrams, right? So it's supposed to be half of it. So it's supposed to be 10 milligrams is instant release. And then 10 milligrams should start, I guess, dissolving or kicking in roughly 4 hours after. So it's in theory supposed to be the equivalent of taking an instant release in the morning and then, you know, 4 to 6 hours later taking another instant release. So the last vlog I had was I started that medication on Thanksgiving. And I would not recommend starting this type of medication on a day that you're supposed to eat like a big old meal, because it is an appetite suppressant. However, I will say, if you're on the right dose or it's in your system the right way, your appetite will come back. But anyways, so I was very warm the first day I was on it. Extremely warm, dry mouth, and my appetite when it came time to eat was gone. But the thing is, my ADHD symptoms were improved way more noticeably than with the Concerta. The first day was kind of hard to tell because it was Thanksgiving, we're cooking, you know, we have a new tradition in my house of just like, we're gonna set up the Christmas decorations on Thanksgiving, so we did all that. When the medication started to wear off, then my appetite came back and I ate, but then also I had a little bit of restless legs and I had noticed my jaw started to clench a little bit. That kind of went away. The next day, so I feel like because I still might have had some of the Concerta in my system, with that, I was like, I'm not even gonna count the first day because it was kind of just like, I don't know. So the second day I took the Adderall, again, I was trying to be consistent, taking it at 6:30. I had to work at Amazon. So I will say, first thing, difference between the Concerta and the Adderall was I did not have the body jitters at all. No jitter. My hands are naturally shaky. I feel like they didn't totally calm it as much as the Concerta, but it still calmed it enough. The other thing was I did not get nauseous or anything, and I didn't eat with the medication. So I didn't have any type of nauseous or stomach stuff going on, and I didn't have body jitters. And I was like, okay, already off to a better start. I did notice that second day, you know, my jaw was clenching a little bit in the morning. That kind of went away. The evening though, I had a pretty intense crash. So sometimes if your Adderall medication, if it could be because it wears off too fast, it could be the dose was too high and then it crashes off. I mean, or the dose is not high enough. I mean, there's so many factors that go into it. It could be that you didn't eat or drink enough during that time. For me, it was that on days that I'm working at Amazon, I was metabolizing the medication a lot faster. You know, people talk about, oh, you made me a zombie, or I'm not me, I don't have the personality. I'm fine on the medication. It was when the medication was wearing off. So when I got home from work, you know, Ricky had the day off for Thanksgiving, the girls had the day off for holiday, for their break or whatever. So I come home and I was just like, I didn't want to try to talk. I didn't want to do anything. So the way I kind of worked myself around it was, I was like, I think it was like a Friday night. I was like, let's go to the drive-in movies. So this way I didn't have to talk, but everyone didn't realize anything was wrong. But I felt like, man, I will say this also, I slept good. Even the first, second, you know, the beginning of taking the medication, I slept good. So the whole entire time for the rest of the month, I had no body jitters, I had no nausea. The dry mouth went away after day 1. The clenching went away after day 1. My appetite has been like it's there, but it's not like I'm hungry. So I do have to kind of force myself to eat, but I'm not having like the gag reflex type thing that I had on day one. That's like as far as like the way it made my body feel. And I had no headaches. The other thing I realized is I had no anxiety. Now with the Concerta, the first couple days I had no anxiety, but then I had those 2 little panic attacks. On the Adderall, I've had no anxiety. And for the longest time, I thought, well, I have anxiety, I have OCD, I have a little bit of depression. And so I would think, oh, I should go get medication for this. And again, because of my stigmas, I just didn't want to be on any medication at that time. So I didn't have any anxiety. Sometimes I'd still have little thoughts that normally would have provoked like a full anxiety. Not even so much as a panic attack, but like, oh, the anxiety's here. So now I might still have like a thought like that, but it doesn't provoke like the body anxiety. And so I was like, okay, I'm calm. I don't have the anxiety. I didn't have any type of dread, even with the Concerta. Some people say, you know, they might say, oh, they have euphoria or they're happy or something like that, but it's not like that for me. It's basically like, yeah, when it starts working, I do notice my mood is a little up. It was like, oh, there wasn't like the dread. You know, like sometimes your alarm goes off in the morning, you're like, man, I just don't even want to get out of bed. I don't want to get ready for work. I don't want to go to work. It's just like, okay, my alarm went off, get up, take your medicine, start getting ready. I noticed like, okay, on the way to school, I do have a little more conversation with my girls. I still have like the patience, but now it's not even so much that I have the patience with them. It's more like I'm present with them. So did it help my mood? You know, it kind of did. It was just like, I don't have the dread. So it's like, I don't have the anxiety causing the depression, if you will. I don't have the dread associated with just getting up and getting ready. But my mind, here's the deal, you guys. Let's say you wake up, total fog brain. And some of you may not even know what the fog brain feels like because maybe you haven't experienced ADHD or fatigue, chronic fatigue syndrome or something like that that causes these brain fogs. And so when I was on the Concerta, I don't know if you guys watched that first video, and I mentioned like, oh, I was kind of hoping that when my mind was more alert or my mind was more focused, I didn't have the words. I said, oh, I thought it'd be like, oh, I put on my glasses, I could see better. With the Adderall, it actually is almost like I can see better. Mentally, I don't even know what you would say. It's like I would have this fog. I have glasses, I do have blurry vision, but it was like a fog. And I'm living in this tunnel vision of fog, and I'm thinking it's my vision maybe. The Adderall, all of a sudden, it's gone. My mind was clear, it was alert, it was the voices. I say voices, Ricky's like, you're crazy, because I talk about these voices. I don't have voices in my head in the sense of like other voices telling me, oh, do this and this. It's more like I have lots of thoughts going on at the same time. Some of them are dialogue, some of them are pictures. It's just a lot going on. It quieted that down a lot. I still do a little bit of the inner dialogue, and I feel like that's kind of a habit I formed because of doing YouTube videos, because I tend to kind of practice what I'm going to say before I film, because I don't write a script, I don't write anything down. So I feel like that's kind of something I might do all the time anyway. So I kind of have that dialogue of like, okay, I'm going to say this. But I don't have this repetitiveness of thinking about a situation or something that happened that bothered me over and over again, to the point that I can't sleep and I can't focus or I can't do anything like that. So that's quieted a lot of that. Biggest thing for me is like the brain fog. And now I know when the medication has worn off, because that fog creeps its way back in. The thoughts kind of stay pretty calm. So I sleep better on the Adderall than I do without any medication. And I remember telling my doctor, like, this is crazy. Like, I was worried about going on a stimulant because I get insomnia and I can't, and I get anxiety. And she's like, Jackie, you have anxiety and insomnia because of your ADHD. And I was like, okay, whatever. But seriously, no anxiety. Yes, I still get a few anxiety thoughts. No depression. I sleep really good. The fog is lifted. So I guess I have a clear mind, or I'm alert, right? Now, as far as like focus and memory and stuff like that, memory, I'm not in a process right now where I'm like learning anything new, so I couldn't tell you how that would work. I'll have to see. Maybe I'll start another book soon and we'll see how I retain that information or how I can focus on reading. So I haven't really done a lot of that. But I have noticed that while at work, you know, working at the Amazon warehouse, it could be very mundane and it's repetitive work. And normally I would be up in my head talking, or watching and listening and just going about my day, doing my work. And that's kind of why I picked a lot of the jobs that I've picked, because it's let me do that. It's let me have that ADHD brain while still being productive at work. And I am hyperactive, so I work fast and I get work done anyways. But what I noticed with the medication is I'm actually paying attention to the task that I'm doing. I'm not thinking about 50,000 things. I've actually been working very efficient because I'm now seeing some of like the big picture, if you will, and I'm able to keep my area organized and clean and everything just going and flowing, and I'm not getting distracted. I'm not bored because it's like, oh, it's the same thing over and over again. I'm not constantly looking at the time, like, oh, is it time to leave yet? In that sense, is it life-changing? Possibly. Is it gonna change my life in the aspect of, you know, I don't know, my relationships and how much money I make, any of that? I don't know yet. What is the downside to it? So the downside is when it wears off for me, it is kind of that crash feeling of like, now I kind of don't really want to interact with anybody. And I noticed on days that I worked at Amazon, I could notice like by, you know, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock sometimes, that the brain fog was coming back and that I was like, I just don't want to do nothing. So what was happening was my mornings I was very present with my children, getting ready, even getting myself ready on my days off, which I normally wouldn't do. So I guess that's a good thing. But then my evenings, so my mornings were definitely better on the medication. My evenings were worse than if I wasn't even medicated, because now it's like I went from being like, okay, I have a clear mind, I'm focused, I'm ready, to, I gotta make dinner, I gotta do homework with my kids, and I was like, I don't know. So I stuck it out for the rest of the time, and then I had my follow-up appointment with my doctor. So I told her, you know, I wrote everything down like I did with the Concerta, and I said, these are the positives. And the negative is the loss of appetite. Working at the Amazon warehouse, if you go from like not being active to working at the warehouse, you're gonna lose a little bit of weight, which is a plus. But then to have the medication where it's like, well, I'm not really hungry, so I'm like, on the break time, I'm like forcing myself to eat. I did end up losing a little bit of weight, but it was actually weight I had gained. So before working at Amazon, I was like walking maybe 4,000 steps a day. Like I wasn't getting any activity. I went from like teaching Zumba and working out and doing all this stuff to like not doing anything. So I did gain some weight, and I had lost a little bit of muscle, and I had a lot of extra fat on my back and my waistline. And when I did my cholesterol was actually a little high. So I was like, oh, okay, I need to get back to my active lifestyle. So I went back to Amazon, because when you have a job that is active, it's a lot easier to live more actively in general because it's active. So on days that I work at Amazon, I walk like 20,000 steps, you guys. That's like 10 miles. And that's within a part-time, that's like a 5-hour period. Now there are some days, if they have me on splitting or something, maybe I'm only walking like 8,000 or 9,000. But most of the time I'm scanning, and they'll even move me from this part of the warehouse to that part of the warehouse, because they like to move me to help catch up areas because I'm pretty fast and efficient. On average, I'm doing like 18,000 to 20,000 steps on the days that I work at Amazon. My highest day was like 25 or 26,000 steps, which is crazy. So I told my doctor, while I have this I'm back at Amazon, so I'm physically burning more calories, right? And I normally didn't eat breakfast anyway. So normally at like 11, I would end up eating. Well, 11:30 is our break at Amazon. We only get 15-minute break. By the time you walk to the break room, you go to the bathroom, you get your snack, you have like 7 minutes to eat, right? So you can't really eat a whole lot of the time. So basically I was eating like a banana, string cheese, and again, I lost a little bit of weight, but I'm back to the weight that I am normally at when I'm not working out and I don't have the extra like muscle mass. So I told my doctor, I said, okay, I'm okay with where I'm at, but I can't lose any more weight. And I'm like, I don't like that. I have to feel like I'm forcing myself to eat. So like on break, I can eat. It's not like I can't eat, but I almost feel like I'm not hungry and I'm like, oh, you have to eat something. And now I actually started eating a little bit of something before I even go into work just to help counteract that. 'Cause I'm like, I don't need to lose any more weight. But the appetite in general is back. So by the afternoon, I'm eating fine. Everything is fine. It's just in that part. Second con I told her was that my crashes are too hard, or that especially on the days that I'm working at Amazon, it just wears off so fast that I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, now my husband, he's not even seeing the benefit of my morning because he's already at work. He's just seeing the after work when I'm just like sitting there. I will also say the Adderall though has helped with like impulse control as far as like needing to talk excessively or needing to fill the silence. So that might be a combination too, because like there's one, it was on the weekend and I had taken my medication. I was very productive in the morning. I decluttered my daughter's room, like their whole room. We donated like 3 trash bags of stuff. But then by like 12, I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I did a lot. I don't want to do anymore. But I was just chilling, hanging out, not really needing to talk. And my husband's like, hey, are you good? Is that the medication? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't have that desire to constantly fill the silence, which was a better impulse thing, I guess. So I told her, you know, hey, the medication's wearing off. So I was like, what are the options? So she gave me a few options. She basically said, we can either increase your extended release from 20 milligrams to 30 milligrams, which I already did not want to do, but I was listening. So she said that was option 1. Option 2 was to also prescribe, with the extended release, to prescribe an instant release that I could take as like a booster dose for the days that I worked at Amazon, or even if I felt the medication wore off sooner on other days. So I said, you know, I don't want to do the 30 milligrams of the extended release because I don't feel that more amount is going to make it last longer. I said, I feel like it's just going to give me more at those times. And I'm like, I don't really need more. I'm like, I feel like my symptoms are being managed good right now. And I didn't want to potentially lower my appetite even more or possibly have other side effects because I went too high. Again, I did a lot of research on medication before starting stuff, just listening to other people's opinions and side effects and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Some people are on like crazy high doses, like 30 milligrams 3 times a day, which is insane to me. And some people are like, hey, I'm good on like 5 milligrams twice a day. I mean, you have to figure your thing out. But I do feel like I want to be on the least amount that I need for my symptoms. Do I think a higher dose might help more symptoms? I don't know. I don't think so. So I told her I don't want, you know, I'm not doing the 30 milligrams. So she's like, I'm going to prescribe you. We're going to do the 20 milligram extended release again, and then I'm going to add a 20 milligram instant release, which is scored that you can, you know, cut in half. So now I have the Adderall instant release as well. This is the 20 milligram. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but there's like a little line in the middle, so you can cut these in half. She said this month is the trial and error with these two medications. So she said, start with cutting it in half. She said, on the days that you work at Amazon, take your extended release. The medication, the bottle says take the instant release at noon. I wanted to wait till after, so I'll tell you how I did in a minute. So her thing was, take the extended release every day like you've been taking, and then on days that you work at Amazon, take, 10 milligrams between noon and 2, and see how that helps your evenings. She said, or, she goes, and then at that point, you play with it, maybe take the full 20, or maybe try a day where you take the instant release and not the extended release. She's like, just kind of play around with it, and, we'll see how it goes. The ways I'm allowed to play around with my medication were ideas and is approved by my doctor. So don't just start messing with stuff and changing it all crazy. So the day I got the refill, so my prescriptions are it's not a refill. I have to go back and see my doctor every 30 days. We have to discuss it and decide, are we changing it? What are we doing? And this will happen, for a while. But she said the same thing. Email me if, you need to. So the first day I got the medication filled, I just took the Adderall extended release. I know, and maybe I was just worried. I didn't want to have this big crazy reaction to it. And at this point, my daughters had just started their break, and my older daughter was doing all her Nutcracker dress rehearsals, and then we had the performance and stuff. So I was helping backstage for the first show, and then I had friends and family come to the second show. And I was like, I'm just weird. I don't want to start a new medication when I have to interact with a lot of people. I like being at home that first day just to, because you don't know. I don't know how it's going to be. Some people do have the side effects of blurred vision, or they do have the side effects of insomnia. There's a bunch of different things that you don't know what's going to happen. I took a day where I didn't take any medicine, and then the next day I was like, what? I just want to try the 10 milligram of instant release without the extended release, because some people say the instant release hits you faster, it might seem harder, or it might wear off and the drop might seem bigger. And so I was like, well, if I'm already having kind of a big drop with the extended release, what's the instant release going to be like? Also, my theory behind it was I would have more control over when that second dose kicked in for me. So I took 10 milligrams in the morning, and then I was working at Amazon that day. So I did not take it at work because I wanted to see. It kind of got in my system the same amount of time as the other one, but what I noticed was my appetite was fully intact. Now at work, I did notice when it stopped working because the brain fog was just whoop. And then I kind of started moving a lot slower at work. I was back and going in the motion kind of thing. So as soon as I got off of work at 2:30, I took the other half, the other 10 milligrams. And as I'm driving home, I noticed whoop, the brain fog is gone. I got home, I made dinner, I was interacting with Ricky and the girls, I felt good. And when the medicine wore off, I didn't have the crash that I was having with the extended release. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Am I opposite, or does the medication not truly work that way? Because they say the extended release is supposed to be taking 10 milligrams now and then 10 milligrams later. It's not really like that. The other thing, like I said, is now I have control. I would have control over the time, because you can take it between 4 to 6 hours. Let me go back one day. So the day before I went to work, I took the 10 milligrams, and I only took that for the day. And I was good because it was a day that everyone was home. We weren't really doing a whole lot. And I just took that. My appetite was good all day. But I did notice I didn't sleep as good. I'm like, okay, well, I only took 10 milligrams in the morning. Definitely need to take a little bit more later. A lot of doctors say that if you are having the insomnia or something, it could be that the dose isn't lasting long enough in the day so that, the excessive thinking or whatever comes back, and then it's harder to fall asleep. So obviously I was like, okay, well, I can't just take 10 in the morning. That totally messed up my sleep. So then the next day I took 10 in the morning, and then I took the other 10 at I think 1:30. And I slept a little bit better, but it was still kind of I'm like, okay, it's still too late in the day. But again, it was just the 20 milligrams total. So then I went to work. I took the medication around, I'd say 12:30. The medication definitely had worn off. And this day I had taken the medication close to 8. So that was kind of another reason I wanted to try the instant release, was so that I didn't have to take the medication at like 6:30 in the morning. If there was a day I wanted to sleep in or something, I could just take the other one. So I took it around close to 8, and then by 12 it was totally like brain fog, like whatever. So I took it at 2:30, but that was good. I slept better. The next day I worked again, and this time I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and take another dose at my break time. So I took about 7:45 in the morning, I took my 10 milligrams of instant release, and then at like 11:45, basically at the very end of break, after I ate, I took my other 10 milligrams of instant release, and I definitely had a way better day at work. The brain fog stayed away, and I was productive, and you know, I did a real good job at work that day. When I got home, on the fence of should I take the other dose, or is it too late? Because the day before I took the dose at like 2:30, and I felt like that was good, but now it was like 3 o'clock. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So this was on a Friday, the day before New Year's Eve, and so I went ahead and took it, and then Ricky and I went, we got all the grocery shopping done, we got dinner made, and again, I was present and attentive, in a good mood during the evening routine, and I did not have the big crash, and I slept pretty good. New Year's Eve, I did take the instant release in the morning. I did not take any additional dose because we did go to a New Year's Eve party, and I did have a few drinks in the evening. So basically they say the instant release lasts, you know, 4 to 6 hours. So I made sure that I had like, I think it was probably like 8 or 9 hours from when I took my dose to when I had, like, you know, the New Year's Eve countdown drinks or whatever. Then the day after New Year's, I didn't take any medication, just because I was like, well, I drank a little bit last night and I didn't take anything. And then I did not sleep very well. So what day was that? What day are we on? So I'm kind of giving you a little more than a month here. It's the 4th now. So on the 1st, I didn't take any medication. On the 2nd, worked. So I did the instant release again, and I brought enough for me to do on my break. So I took it in the morning, I took it on my break. I had another one with me so I could take it after work. But this particular day, I was like, I don't really feel like I need to take it because the girls are on break. We're not really doing a whole lot. Ricky had already like started dinner and stuff for me. So I was like, all right, I didn't take it. So that night I did not sleep very well. So I noticed that taking it late enough, I don't really sleep very well. Appetite still back totally fine, but now the sleeping is kind of off. So I'm like, I don't know if this instant release was gonna work. But at first I thought, well, I liked it a little bit better because I had control whether I took 20 or 30 milligrams, or if I did it 4 hours or 6 hours. Like I had a little bit more control over when that second dose, or if I even needed the third dose, would happen. With the instant release, I feel like I have to have a dose later no matter what. So yesterday, which was the 3rd, I had the day off. I took the 10 milligrams in the morning, and again, I was kind of taking it later. So instead of 6:30, I've been taking it close to 8, and that was just because my kids were still on break. So I took the 10 milligrams like 7:45-ish. Very productive most of the day. We're trying to finish like little things in my projects in my girls' room, moving bookcases around and decluttering. Like I had this bookcase over here I'm pointing at. I totally decluttered that whole thing. Like that bookcase will be gone. I didn't want to take 3 doses because I'm like, well, I'm not at Amazon, I'm not burning through it. So, but I didn't want to take my other dose too early because I knew I wouldn't sleep. So I ended up taking the other dose, I think 2:30. I took my second dose at 2:30. Ricky got home from work, you know, again, we made dinner, we ate, everything is good. I slept better. So like I said, I noticed that, but so I've been trying the instant release for about a week. Like it's kind of playing with the timings and all of that, but I'm still not sleeping as good as the extended release, but I don't have the appetite suppressive and I don't have the crashes. So it's kind of like, what do you do? So today is January 4th and my girls are officially back at school. So we're back at waking up, you know, 6:30 in the morning. So this morning I did go ahead and just take the Adderall extended release at 6:30. So it's been 3 hours. I still feel, you know, the brain fog's still gone, the mind's quiet, you know, things are good, I got myself ready. I will not have to take, most likely I will not have to take a booster dose later just because I'm not working at Amazon. I'm not metabolizing the medication as fast. So we'll see later today if I end up still having like the harder crash like I've been having. I don't know, at 2:30 if I feel like, you know, I am kind of having that crash, maybe I will take the booster dose and we'll see how it goes. Better for me? I don't know, because again, I have pros and cons to kind of both of them. So I like the fact that I have both of them to kind of mess with. So again, if I want to sleep in a little bit longer, I can just take the instant release. Back at the doctor on January 18th is my follow-up. So I have 2 more weeks to kind of mess around with the medication, and then we'll see what my doctor said. Yeah, so I don't know if this video is going to help you guys. I hope it's not all over the place. I try my best to retell my experiences kind of like in a chronological order, just because that's kind of how I'm able to like piece it together. But I definitely would say for me, the Concerta just wasn't symptom control, and I had way too many side effects. With the Adderall, like it's been good, but has it been like life-changing, like epiphany changing? I don't know. But then when I look at the fact that I sleep better, I don't have any anxiety, I don't have the dread, I'm kind of like, okay, a little bit of a crash or a little bit of an appetite thing might, you know, it's doable. I don't have headaches. Like I said, the dry mouth and the clenching of that all stopped after like 2 days on the medication, so that's fine. I think we're on the right track. I definitely don't think I need a higher dose. Oh, I will say this though, I did actually try only 5 milligrams of the instant release. I had no benefits at all. So a 5 milligram would definitely be too low of a dose. I think they make like a 7.5 milligram, but I almost feel like the Adderall extended release almost gives me a bigger boost at one time than the 10 milligram instant release does. So I don't know. I do have one of those weird metabolisms, and I do have weird interaction with some medication. For instance, like Benadryl, a lot of people get drowsy off of Benadryl. I get like cracked out. And I told the pharmacist, like, I can't have Benadryl. I get like, and he's like, yeah, you're like the 1%. So I feel like my experience with Adderall XR is a little bit different than with the extended release versus what other people have. But just know, like, I'm not taking 20 milligrams at one time. The extended release, in theory, it's supposed to release half and half, so 10 and 10. But when I take the instant release, 10 and 10, I do feel like the initial dose of the extended release is a little bit stronger than the instant release. And like I said, my appetite is not as bad. So I don't know. But the crash, I don't know. So it's like opposite for me. Some people work really well with one or the other. Some people do both of them. I feel like for now, originally I was trying to just switch over to the instant release because I was trying to have more control over, like, okay, I can take it after 4 hours or I can take it after 6 hours, and I can let myself feel what it's like. The reason they came out with the extended release, and was so that you wouldn't have to take multiple pills, or for those who forget to take their medication. For me, I've always been very aware and in tune of how I'm feeling. Like I said, as soon as that brain fog's back, I'm like, okay, the medication's not working anymore, and I know I could take another dose if I need to. So far I haven't taken it any later than 3 p.m. And when I do the extended release, I always want to take it like earlier. So I don't know. I'll be back probably next month or at the end of the month after I do I have 2 more weeks of kind of experimenting with this, so we'll see what ends up being, I guess, the best thing for me. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!